teacher, classmates. We are Jimena León, AbrahamVenegas Mayorga, Cristopher Moreira Quirós, and JanMarschatz Aguilar. Today we are united to share our opinions regarding the video about intended consequences. To sum up, what the video states is that technology is not always a tool for all the population, especially because not everyone can or have the access to all the various kinds of software and hardware that exist nowadays. This is why the presenter shares examples in some fields where this terrible fact can be seen. And now we are going to discuss a little bit about what we can do and our personal opinions. So maybe as a first question, let's say, do you share what the presenter states, or do you share his concerns?
Okay, so I do share his concerns. I agree what he said. I think technology is an important tool and it has to be regulated because, as you said, it is not equal. It is in the hands of the few. It's like money, like John said in his talk. So I think that we should use this tool to promote equality between all the people around the world and not make it another barrier between us in general.
Mhm. What do you think, Chris?
Eh, well, I do agree with John and with my teammate Aran. I think that if the technology keeps being only used for a certain group of people, it will harm the people that is not able to use that technology because in certain ways they will be expected to have access to that technology.
Okay. Yeah, like the least fortunate, or let's say that technology is built nowadays for the population with more status and economic power, to say it in some way. So I think this affects and widens the gap between, let's say, a middle class and lower class population. For example, it's a phenomenon very common today, sadly, but maybe we could do something about it. And you, what do you think, Jan?
Yes, I also agree with what John talks about in the video. I believe that technology has lots of great advantages, but it can also be used in really bad ways, and we should take care and have a certain plans with whatever technology people are developing so that this technology cannot be used for any harmful or any bad purpose.
Mhm. Yeah, that's important also. Well, along that line, what do you think about the future prospect? I mean, do you think that everybody will have access to modern technology? Like everybody.
Well, I do believe that in the future, most people will have access to technology at least to a certain degree. For example, today we can almost see mm, like almost everyone has a smartphone. Doesn't matter if it's a cheap one or a really expensive one. or let's say a certain smartwatch. It can be something simple, just like the heart rate. But yeah, I do believe that everyone, at least to a certain degree, will have access to technology in the future.
Well, that's interesting. Personally, I disagree with you in some level. I mean, I do agree with the fact that in the future the access will be easier for some, for the least fortunate, let's say it that way. But I think that probably in the near 5 years, these these mm, this will not be seen. I think that it would take us like at least 15 years so that everyone can actually have a a decent smartphone. And for example, this tool, this modern tool that we use, that is the Simpe, many people, especially the oldest people, uh, doesn't don't know about this tool and some other software options so that they can have a simpler life, and they can't even access because of economic problems. So I think we will have to wait like 15 years so that everybody accommodates to that way of living. But I don't know if you have a different opinion, some of you, Abraham or Chris.
Eh, Well, I partially agree with you. I think that everybody will have access to modern technology only if we, as a society, work for making it easier for people to obtain that technology. I think that we, as people, as engineers, should strive to make new technology easier to obtain to everybody. So in the near future, everybody will have access to new or modern technology.
Okay.
I partially agree with y'all because I think it will take more than 15 years because I don't know. Also, like in indigenous people or population more like distant from the new world, will not get the chance to have these new technologies. So I think they will need more time, or maybe they will not get it at all because they prefer that style of life. Also, I think, for example, I don't know, like since 5 years ago, for example, in YouTube, we could see that Indian channels start to grow more because in the Indian industry, they start to get more cell phones, and so they have more access to internet, and also like channels like Sony Music India or that channels grow a lot more. So I think it will take a lot more, but it depends a lot on what the countries do to change that. Because there are zones right here in Costa Rica that doesn't have a Wi-Fi, for example, like in the north part, there's part where there's no internet.
Yeah, what you say is very interesting because um, India India is like a giant in technology. There are a lot of people who specialized in software and computer engineering. So you see them everywhere on the internet. we are
Hmm.
we learn from
Yeah.
them on our daily basis. So that's interesting. And okay, another question that would come up is, if you think do you think there are or let's say, are there any other unintended consequences of technology? What do you think?
I think there could be like, for example, now that you mentioned it, like simple oil, and I think in the future, people will not use like cash, like physical cash, and they will use
Coins.
like credit cards, debit cards, or simple mobile or Apple Pay, that kind of stuff, because it's easier. You don't have to carry the money. You don't have to worry about, like, for example, if you're taking a bus, you don't have to count the coins to pay. You just, for example, like there's a bus in Tehar that already has that electronic pay, and it's easy. You just put your card, your debit card, credit card, or also Apple Pay. You can use it, I think, and you just put it, and that's it. You don't have to worry about paying and it's more healthy. It has
Mhm.
better hygiene. But the problem is that not everyone has a credit cards or debit cards or even a cell phone. So, for example, homeless people, what will they do if they can, like, as have no money, if everyone use virtual money for saying. So that, I think, or for the oldest one, like you said, it will be a problem because they don't know how to use that too much.
Yeah, I mean that's a problem because, for example, some days ago I went to the dining room in to the tech's dining room with some classmates, and one of them don't have a debit card, and as you know, you can only access to the dining room and eat there if you pay with your debit card. But he didn't. I mean, he don't have one. So the the people who work there didn't allow him to eat there, and that's very. I felt bad about him because he was hungry and he was going to eat with us, but he couldn't because he doesn't have a debit card.
Yeah, that's
And what do you guys think?
Well, I also believe that with every new technology, there can always be certain consequences that comes um, aside with it. For example, when they first invented the internet, we didn't know that today they will create things like virus or malwares. Those were things created later. So I do believe that in the future, with newer technologies, maybe they could find a way to kind of hack Simpemoil or something like that in some way, or that they can take money out. For example, now that Abraham mentioned the cards that they can use in the bus. I don't know if they have if they ask for their name or just the card. People could just steal the card and then use it in the bus. So they have certain consequences, and there should be a way to stop that a certain way.
Yeah, like to recognize the actual person, the actual owner, and do something about it if someone steals the card.
Yes, exactly.
Well, I think like Jan, I think that today technology, especially the internet, can be used for non-ethical manner. Like people can scam other people. They can sell or buy illegal things. I think that thanks to the internet is easier for children to access websites that they should not have access to. And Other consequence of the internet is that it too can be used for cyberbullying, for example. So I think that technologies uh, are helpful and everything, but they could be just as harmful.
Yeah, that part of the cyberbullying is very is something that we forgot to mention, but right now is very present, right? You enter to Facebook or Instagram, probably on TikTok too, and you see those hate comments towards every content
Mhm.
creator for everything they do. So yeah, it can technology can be used for bad things.
Yeah, and it's also easier for people to hate other people in the internet because they can create a random profile that no one knows their real name or or how they look, so they can just bully other people without any consequence, just getting banned. But that's not a real, like, that's nothing bad for them. They can just create another account.
Yeah, it's anonymous after all.
Hmm.
Okay, so maybe we can move on to what we can do to let's say to regularize or do something about it, about this topic. So the next question would be how to use technology to solve humanitarian problems. What would you think as engineers? What would you create to solve humanitarian problems?
I think that we as computer engineers should create a cheap technology that can be efficient, so everybody has access to say technology. I do think that we should develop a technology that addresses and solves problems that we face as society. And I think that we should help everybody to have access to technologies that are useful for them.
Yeah, like provide more resources for some kind of population.
Yes.
Yeah, for example, I don't know. I think about, for example, there's an app that is called Move It. I don't know if y'all heard about it. It's like an app that you can use. Like, if, I don't know if you want to go from Tech um, to San Jose. So it shows which buses or which train or whatever you need. Um, to get to there, and it shows you like some schedules and some in the bus stops, so you know where to go and all of stuff. But the problem is that there's no there isn't always all the schedules, or they are not right, for example. So maybe as a computer engineer you can, I don't know, collaborate with them like to grade that information. Also, for example, I sometimes I get like in Google Maps and look up for a local business close to my area, and I take photos, so it takes more information about the place or the schedules I asked for them, and so they have like more representation in like in the internet, because a lot of the owners of these places don't know how to use these apps, so I try to help them with that. So the yeah, so the like if someone is looking up, I don't know, for there's a Mexican restaurant close to my house, so they, I don't know if they want tacos, then they just look up they go to a place, or I don't know, something like that, or try, or maybe like if I want to develop like in websites and all that stuff, so maybe helping them making a website when I learn to how to do a good website, so they have like a menu and all of the stuff, so people can look up before going to that place.
Um, well, in my
I think
case,
that
okay,
uh,
no, you can talk. Go
well,
ahead.
I think that what you say about Google Maps is very cool and helpful because uh, it helps the owner of those places, and it helps the people that are searching for that for certain places like restaurants, hotels, and that kind of things. So I think it's very cool.
Yeah, I also think that it's a really good idea so that people can have information up to date if they want to go to any restaurant or a place. And let's say, for example, that the information is not up to date. They believe that the restaurant closes at, I don't know, 7 p.m., but in reality it closed at 5 p.m., so they cannot go. So yeah, I believe that it's important to help the community or help each other to have this information, and well, it's free for everyone, so it's really helpful.
Yeah, we have to we would have to maintain updated. We would have to maintain the information updated so that the clients or the people in general could use that as a reference. Okay, in my case, I think probably one of the most urgent requirements is related to food, uh, and it is to, well, to feed people in need, homeless people or people that live in terrible conditions. So I would suggest some systems maybe via drones or simple, I don't know, simple robots that take a like a basic food basket weekly to those who really need it. For example, in a community that is um, far away on the like an island, I don't know. Perhaps we could use a drone, or I don't know if some drones are big enough to carry that kind of stuff, but maybe that could help some two or three people in one trip so that they could eat for the day and have that food that they need for the rest of the day.
Yeah, I think that will be pretty useful for the ones that need it the most.
Do you have any other opinions or ideas about how to solve humanitarian problems?
Well, I've seen certain websites that are free, but they accept donations. So you could use the money from donations, well, part for the people who create a website, but also to help other people, as you mentioned. Let's say people that don't have food or that have economical problems. Some of those donations could be given to people who actually need it more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, through the internet. It's like a fund.
Yeah.
Okay, that sense. Well, I would like to make a final question. And it is, what do you understand by this phrase, that real innovation is finding ways to include everyone? What do you think it's the meaning of that phrase?
I think that is necessary. Like to innovate, you have like to talk to the people, to all the people that are gonna be used be using that innovation. For example, I don't know if, for example, I think about like the Philadelphia library that Jones talked about. For example, like taking it to our country, for example, the Cartago's library, public library. For example, I don't know if there were a web where you can see all the books that were available, so you don't have to go to the place to know if, I don't know, like uh, to look like El Quixote, for example. I don't know, you want to rent it and want to read, but then you go to a place and discover that someone rented before, so you have to wait, and you lose your time going to the place. I don't know if you went on car, you waste gas, and or if you went bus, you waste money. So it is important to think about, for example, like the people that doesn't have internet. For example, I don't know, there will be houses in Cartago that doesn't have access to internet, to Wi-Fi, or I don't know, to data to look up on that web. So maybe, I don't know, the state could work on giving them a little service of internet in their houses, or if they don't have a technological device, giving them a little cell phone at least that can work on that, so they can look, for example, if they want to read a book, I don't know, or and so, but for that purpose, I think when we are inventing or innovating, we have to talk to all the people, not or just or cycle. Talk to the people that need the most. So you know which things you have to think about to the problematic that you're solving, and I think it's really important to think to what it says, the phrase that you have to find ways to include everyone. So I think the most easiest way is talking to the people, and all you can do it like in social media, like asking for the people that are your like your public, but you also have to go to the street to talk it with people that doesn't have that social media, for example.
Actually, with what you said about the libraries, I think that the National Library in San Jose has a similar system, because when you go in there, you can look up the book titles and to see if there is one available. And maybe I don't know, I'm not sure about this, but I think that you can access to that information also being in your house, for example, or through your cell phone, not not necessarily being physically on the library. So perhaps it's a good way to not waste a lot of money in commuting to that place. So yeah, I support that completely, because if you take, like, for example, like me, that I live in Alajuela and I have to go there, I spend mm, probably 2 hours going there, and all the bus fares and all of that. So I support that completely. But as you said, it is important to take in consideration the opinions of people who don't even have a cell phone, right? Because what can they do? They don't have access to that information. So we should tackle that problem by maybe creating another system or another way so that they can access to that information.
Yeah, I also agree with what you guys said. When we are creating um, a certain website or technology to help other people, and it's something that is free, we should also take in consideration every single person or every single situation. What happens if someone doesn't have internet or doesn't have enough money to pay for a certain job or a fee? We need to think more like outside of the box, for saying like that. There are people who have really serious problems with, let's say, economical or whatever situation they are, and sometimes these services don't actually function for every single case. So yeah, I do think it's important to have that in consideration.
I agree with you guys that we should make technology easier to access to everyone, but I think that we should to make technology easier to use for some people. For example, uh, people that have some disabilities, people that are physically disabled or visual impaired. I think that we should make a technology that uh, is easier for them to use, so that we could include everyone.
Yes, that's a that's a very relevant point that you made. Um, because, well, again, not everyone has the same context or the same conditions as us. Luckily, we have all of our senses working well. We can see, we can hear everyone, we can walk, but there are some people who cannot do that. So it's very important to consider all the different kinds of contexts that there are in the streets, like Abraham said. I don't know if there is any more opinions or comments. Okay. Well, that would be our podcast or our talk. So let's leave it here, because mm, we have passed the limit time probably. So thank you, teacher, for listening, and if someone else is watching, thank you. And let's make technology more accessible.
Yeah.
Okay.